Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here. Okay, this is super awkward, but am I supposed to look at you or the camera?
You can look at me. We're just talking.
But thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yes,
I love podcasts so much. This is my first time.
This is my good friend Carrie. We're in her house today.
In my husband's office.
Yes, which I know is crazy that like every episode we're like bouncing around everywhere, but that's fine.
You know, keep it like exciting.
Oh, I know. Different place.
Keep people guessing.
That's why you have to tune in each episode to see where we're at. But
I'm your number one fan.
Yes.
I love listening to your podcast.
She truly is. And I'm drinking water today. That's my drink. What are you drinking?
Oh, I actually just made a quick chai tea latte.
Ooh, in a cute pink cup. My mom would love that cup.
Yes, my friend it has like a vase with flowers in it, but then it's also a cup, apparently.
That's adorable.
So I was like, you know what, I'm going to make a quick little drink. So
I know my mom will comment on that when she watches this. She's like, that's such a cute
It's from Target.
Okay, yeah, she'd probably wonder if you
Shout out to Target.
Yeah.
Maybe a sponsor.
Yeah, literally. Wait, what brand? Is it a brand?
Room Essentials.
Room Essentials. Shout out to you.
No idea, but I got from my friend.
What's your favorite Bible verse?
Favorite Bible verse? I've been thinking about this one because I knew you were going to ask it, but it's actually the one on my screen saver, whatever it's called. Your wallpaper. That's it. Yeah. It's the one, your wallpaper. I like having to-go verses and just having something to look at. Mm-hmm. But it is 2 Timothy 1:7, and it says, "For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." Mm-hmm. I just always go to that one.
What verse is that?
It's 2 Timothy 1:7.
Yeah.
I just really like that one because it's like, I like it to talk about fear. So I think fear is easy to go into. Yeah. But to know that God has given us a sound mind and that He knows, like we don't have to fear. Yeah, so it's a good reminder, especially in moments like where during the day I'm like, I just need a reminder, and it's like on my phone. It's like what we look at the most.
Yeah.
So
those are always my favorite verses, the ones that talk about fear.
Yes.
So I'm like, yes, Jesus.
I love Pinterest to looking at cute little picture like wall screens. Yes. That one's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorites. So I'm like, you know what? I like those, and it's like fun just like also like sending them to people and encouraging people.
How long has that been your favorite verse?
Gosh, probably for at least, I mean,
some people like hop around.
I hop around a lot, but this one has at least been for like the past year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the classic one that I always love, which is I think like the most Christian-y probably answer, is like John 3:16. Oh yeah. But like that one's always been my favorite. But I'm also like, I want to do something more unique. That's not
that's the unfortunate part is like when it's such a popular verse for a reason because it's so good. But then when it's said a lot, it's like, oh, basic. But it's like, but if you really read the verse, it's really good. It's really
like God so loves the world. And like I think it's like has a lot of good reminders. Even though we like listen, just like. Totally side note, but like this even goes with like vacation Bible schools that we just did. Like just even like the child like faith too. Like sometimes you even go back to these stories that like you've heard for so much, like so long, and even as a kid, I'm like, wow, I'm learning so much. Even just from like these like stories of like how God feeds the 5,000 or like like God calming the seas and like how much like that still can relate even in our lives.
Yeah,
as being older now and not kids.
Yeah, that's so good.
But yeah.
Well, that kind of dives into the next thing. So you're going to share your testimony today.
Yeah.
Whatever part I guess you want to share.
I know, 27 years. I'm not like that old, but I feel like a lot of life.
27 years. Yeah.
I feel like that's enough a lot of life for a lot of things. Are you wanting more like childhood stuff or like stuff?
I'll ask you prompt questions. So, like, growing up, how was childhood like? Like, were you like raised in a Christian household? Did you guys go to church? Like, did you have like a deep relationship with God, or did it take some while to like find Him?
They're all very good questions. I was raised in a Christian household. My mom and dad would always take us to church every Sunday, and They had very strong faith themselves, which was really amazing to like have that as a kid. A family that, you know, loves God, obviously, and, you know, being raised in a household. But I think at a certain point of our lives, we also have to make the decision of like, okay, it's no longer like my parents taking me to church. It's no longer, you know, like it's like my own decision. And I've always like gone to church, and I always was following God. And I think it wasn't until like, I think I was like always a Christian. I think like I got baptized at 10. I was always very, you know, like of course, like we all go through different things, but I always try to keep God at the center. Like even going to like a public school, everyone knew I was a Christian girl, and I didn't swear or like certain things like that. But like I never really like dived into the Bible like a lot. Like it would be like on Sundays I would like open up the Bible and read it, but not like during the week. And I realized like how much I know that like impacts us. I think a lot of times it's like, okay, we go to church on Sundays, but that's it. So I think I had to learn that like it's more than just a Sunday or like a youth group night where I'm like getting into the word, but it's also like growing my own faith and having a relationship with God. And that probably was more, gosh, when was that? Like that's probably more like in my like, I mean, it's sad to say, but probably more in like my 20s. Like when I really realized I'm like, okay, like, you know, I would pray or, you know, I think prayer is always amazing, but I didn't like actually like read the Bible and like start taking notes and like learning more probably into like 20s. And so yeah, I guess
was it kind of just like a routine thing for you then, like, and that was it, or like Sundays is your Jesus day, and then like, the rest of the days are
and I was like, oh, but like I'm really like, you know, I'm like, well, I'm like, well, like I'm busy, or like I have sports, I like all these things, and like sometimes like as a family we would like sit at the kitchen table and like read the Bible, but I wish growing up that I had maybe more of like somebody saying like, oh, it's important to get into your Bible, because I don't think I was really told that much, you know, like maybe like a couple times like somebody would be like, oh, you know, read the Bible, but not like a lot. So I think that was something that like if I was told to do more, but it should also be like obviously my own doing. But I think as a kid though, it's like, well, I'd rather watch like a TV show.
Oh yeah, that's valid as a little kid,
But like knowing that like, oh, I had like, you know, time in the morning growing up where I could have had time to like read the Bible, which I wish I had taken like more advantage of that. And like knowing now, I'm like, oh, like when I'm a parent one day, like I want to like cultivate even like 5 minutes every morning. I think the most special thing that I remember growing up is my mom always praying for me every single morning to school. Like we would spend the whole every morning.
Oh, wow.
She never skipped a day.
Wow.
And if my mom didn't take me to school, my dad took me and he would pray for me.
Oh, wow.
And I think that was like really special. Like even though I wasn't like getting into the word, I was at least like being prayed for. And then normally I would then pray with my mom. And then it would be like us. And we still actually to this day like love praying for each other. We might not do it every day, but like there's certain days of the week where we're just like, let's just pray, you know?
And you totally give that off too, like even as a friend too, I totally see that. Like,
so sometimes like there's things in our lives that are hard, and sometimes we don't have all the words to say. Sometimes all I can do is like, let's just go to prayer. Because I'm like,
that's all you can do.
Don't know the answers all the time. And I think as like even, you know, learning like even about being like a community group leader, like knowing that I cannot solve everyone's issues, but I can pray for them and I can support them and be there for them. But like, you know, I think that's like sometimes, I've had to learn that like I cannot fix, you know, like fix everything. Even though I wish I could. That's God. So,
that's God's job. So, at what point did your relationship with God get more like personal?
That's a really good question. I think,
or like, was there anything like that you went through that you had to get to that?
Yeah, I think yes, I think the biggest thing was, so I went to college and I became a teacher, which I love teaching. And then I got into teaching and my life was like all teaching. Like stopped even, like, I think I still went to church on Sundays, but like I stopped even like going to community group. I stopped kind of like doing a lot of things in the church because I got so busy with like my whole life, like my whole identity I found in teaching. And I kind of like put God to the side because I'm like, I'm so busy, I need to focus on my first year, and that's all I would do. It's just everything was teaching, and it kind of took a toll on my relationship with God, and I think relationship of even my friendships and like my family, and people being like, what's like, something's really different with you, like, and teaching your first year, if anyone has ever had their first year of teaching, it can be a lot. And I was teaching special education, and so there was just a lot of responsibilities, and I was also a new teacher. So I felt like my identity was in teaching. Like if somebody told me what I loved, it would be teaching, and that would be like all I would ever talk about. And I think I didn't really know that at the time of how enthralled I was getting and finding only my identity in teaching, and that I wasn't also putting my trust in like keeping God at the center still. And so all that to say is kind of goes into like, I guess like the testimony, which I don't know if you want to ask me any more questions about this, but I think that kind of then goes into like when I got deeper with my faith with God, was I went through something kind of hard when I was in teaching, and I got an injury.
You could talk about it if you want.
Yeah. I will, like, I'll keep it like pretty brief. Like I got a pretty bad injury. From teaching, and then that kind of caused me to like have get like a brain injury, like a pretty bad concussion, and like it's called like a mild traumatic brain injury. So it was obviously not the most traumatic of things, but it was still enough where it had a lot of impact on my life. And so when I said that I found identity in my teaching, when all of a sudden I got my injury, and now my whole identity is gone because I'm no longer teaching. I went into a very, very, very dark spiral of like, oh my gosh, everything is gone. Like I like everything I loved, everything that I found, my identity was gone within an instant. And I had a lot of significant impacts where I've had to like overcome, you know, certain things with just my head injury, but also in my faith, because it took me into like really dark spots where I was like, I forgot about how I am a daughter of God, and that my identity is not just found in teaching. And like knowing now, like this has been 2.5, 3 years later. So say like even 2 years ago, I would probably never think I'd be here saying this, but like in that moment, I thought my life was like over, like, you know, like there's no hope. Like I lost all hope, and, you know, I did have Blake, so I knew I was going to like get married. So then I became a wife, which is an amazing thing and a great thing.
This happened like right before you got married, right?
A little bit, yeah. We were like 1 month into dating.
Wow.
And then we got married pretty fast with my injury because we spent more time together. Because it was hard for me to be alone. So my mom like ended up coming in and like living with me, and then like all these things. And then so I think that experience, and I got some biblical counseling help because it got really bad, and like it was just like a hard time in my life where I totally did not even think about what God has already given me so much, but all I was thinking about was how my career is over in a sense. And so yeah, that was, I think, like a very pivotal moment in my life when I realized that my identity is not in teaching, it is in God. And I had put this like filter on my eyes thinking that my whole life has to be teaching, and without it, what am I? And I'm like, when people ask me what I do for work, what am I going to say now? Like, I'm no longer this teacher, you know, but like to learn that like I have so much, you know, identity in God, and He's given me so many gifts that I totally, you know, like I just didn't see that in the moment. like I'm now a wife. I am now going back into teaching, which is exciting, but like that took a long time, and I'm starting out slow.
Yeah.
So like, it's not like I'm going right back into teaching, but I'm at least going to be an assistant teacher.
Yeah.
But like, it's an exciting time because I never thought I would even get back into teaching ever. And, so I'm excited. I am excited. And it's really cool to see how much God has done in my life and like, how dark it got to the point where, you don't really want to even, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it can just be really dark. Like it was just like I had really dark thoughts, and, I've never been this type of person that struggles with anger. Like I had a lot of anger, unresolved, like a lot of anger, which also stemmed into me needing to find God, and even more because I struggled with a lot of anger and, things that, I think can bring a lot of shame and like things that I still wish I never like went to. But knowing that like with like learning about, like, oh, I wasn't really like angry at like my husband Blake, but it was more I was angry at myself.
Yeah.
Because of my whole experience that I went through.
Right.
So I had to definitely lean on to God, and with biblical counseling, I got to learn more about like God's identity and what He's calling us to do, that we are to like, be an example of Him. And, so all that to say is, I think that was a very big moment in my life where I needed God. Like I had to choose Him every day. And that made me like journal more, get into the Word more, have verses everywhere to keep reminding me that like, I am not alone, and that like my identity is not in teaching. Like that is just someone's career. Like it is a career. It is a big part of our lives, our career, but it's not our whole lives. And so
it's crazy what God will put you through
to like realize like, okay. And I think because I was making it such like a big thing in my life, and putting Him aside and making this thing like almost, I would say like an idol in my life. Because I wanted to be the best. I wanted to do everything I could for my students. I did everything to try. So I was always saying yes. I was never realizing that my mental health and physical health was being affected. And so once I think it was kind of like a wake-up call, and I got my injury of like, oh wow, like,
and God's like, you need me, I'm gonna
you need
make
to like
you
slow down. And like this is like, it taught me a lot. And my parents and a lot of friends and Blake helped me walk through a lot. And Blake and my mom and my dad and like my brother, like, and a lot of close friends, like they helped me a lot, and they would pray for me. And I think it was hard for them to see me go through that too. But also, like, now them seeing me where I am now, they're like, wow, like, God has worked so much. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, like, there was a lot of suffering, but also, like, God brings us through that and makes it, like, now something that I can help others with who might be struggling with it, or, like, being more okay to, like, talk about it. Because before I couldn't even talk about it with, like, crying. So now I'm like, okay, like I'm on like the other side now, where I'm like, oh, this can like now be a positive thing and not a sad thing.
Yeah.
Because there was just so much sadness around it. Because like I never got to say goodbye to my students. Like I was just kind of, I've gotten to know them for 3 years. Like that was a hard part too of it all, was like the sadness of like just leaving a classroom without saying goodbye. And so there was a lot of that like sadness. And I'm like, oh, like, did they think I was a bad teacher? Or like, like I never said goodbye.
I'm sure they explained like,
like what happened.
Carrie got injured. She won't be coming back.
Yes, I'm sure they did. So yeah, I think that was a big pivotal thing. And so,
it's crazy how God uses like the darkest times in our life to like for good. It's so weird. It's like you don't realize it in the dark time. But then, like, when you're out of it, it's like, whoa, wait, there was a reason for that.
Yeah, and I'm like, I walked through that. Yeah. Like, if you had told me, like, a couple years ago that would be my life, like, I've been like, no way. Like, am I going to be ever on the other side of this, that I won't, of course, like, there's moments, like, where, of course, sadness can come back, but it's not like I'm 100% perfect, but like to know that I can control it more and like be in a better place about it, like that's the best thing. But I think it is like, I would have never thought I would be, where I am now. And but it's all because of God, and him healing me and walking through this journey with me, and like never, like he was never, even in my darkest times, like he was still with me, and I always felt him there. But I just like, it took me knowing that like I had to choose him and like love him and not like love love choosing teaching over him, or
that's so good. How do you feel going back into teaching now?
I'm excited. I'm kind of glad to be like the assistant teacher, honestly. I mean, I love teaching, but it does come with a lot of responsibility. Especially with like communicating with parents and everything, which is all great. Parents are awesome, but it does add a lot of work. So I'm excited to kind of start off as an assistant and being more of like a helper role, and then hopefully in the coming years being more full-time and the head teacher again. Of course, you know, we'll see what happens in this year, but I am excited. I think there's like obviously always like a little bit of nerves, but I'm also like, I think I have not worked a full-time job in like 3 years. So it's been a while. So I think the first, you know, couple months will probably be an adjustment, but I'm also excited to be just around kids and like just their smiling faces and how much joy they bring. I think that's what I've really always missed, is like knowing that like God's given me this gift of teaching, because God was the one that ultimately actually called me into teaching. So like a long time ago now, but but like I've been now to go back into it. It's been really cool.
When you say God called you into teaching, like, you talk about that?
When I was, well, it was really interesting. I'm not like a type of person that like gets like visions or anything, but definitely that's like one day I was like, this is also like when you're like, this is probably when I was like a junior, because like you're kind of figuring out like, okay, like I'm gonna be a senior soon, like what am I, first of all, like where am I going to apply to college, and also like what am I going to major in, you know? I went into this nursing program in high school, and I became like a certified nursing assistant, which is great. I love that. I love doing that, but I was just never super into like, I'm not good at science. And for being a nurse, you need to be good at science. So I was just like, never really felt this like, oh, I want to become a nurse. But I've always loved kids. Like even when I was like a kid, like I would like set up a classroom with like my dolls, fake dolls, you know, like
cute.
And like, and I would like pretend to teach them, and then I would always like, then at the moment I could even be like a mom's helper, you know, like maybe the mom would be in the house. I think this is like when I was like maybe like 13. And like something like as a mom would still be in the house, but like I would just be like watching their kid. Like, you know, and then eventually like I got older and could babysit, and I babysat, I nannied, I worked at like a daycare, I've done like a lot of kids stuff, and then when I was praying one day, when I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do as a career, I kind of like so really why I always loved like school is because of my second grade teacher. Mrs. Johnson. She was an amazing teacher. One day I had this like vision, like while I was praying, and like it was like me and like Mrs. Johnson, and like me now as like an adult, and like me like teaching like while she's like looking and like watching me, and so it was like really cool, and like I was like, oh, maybe like this whole time I've been missing like what I'm supposed to be doing, which is teaching. And I felt like God kind of like, and I prayed about it a lot, because I'm also like, did I just like make this up versus like actually what God wanted for me? And not like a super, don't get visions really. I mean, so that might be someone's gift, but I don't really know if that's mine. But I was like, oh, so it's such like an interesting, like while I was praying, like that's like the vision or like the thought that came to mind. And like I don't think it was like a mistake that like God placed that on my heart, because he like has always known I love kids, and I've always had a passion to like teach them, and like especially why I went into special education is because like I never wanted them, I had a brother who has like special needs, and like, you know, I never wanted them to feel like they're not loved, you know, for like who they are, because they are exactly how God created them to be. And so I just always like had a heart for special education. And even to this day, like I still love it regardless of whatever happened with my injury, you know, like I never like blamed that student. I never like have anything against it. You know, I just, this is like what happened. So I guess that's kind of like what I felt led to. And then I ended up applying for UW Bothell, and I got into the education program. And that is when I became a teacher, and I was just so excited. And my parents, when I told them I wanted to become a teacher, they're like, why haven't we thought about that? Like, you always, like, we're so good with kids, and like, we have such a gift. And I feel like every time like I'm around kids, like they just like gravitate towards me. And like, because I just like I love just watching them grow and like their minds wander and think, and getting to be a part of that growth. And
yeah, that's really cool.
So yeah. It's amazing. Kids are great.
I know.
And
that's so
fun.
Cool too, like from your injury too, and like continuing teaching, because I'm sure you had like some, I don't know, PTSD is the right word, but you know,
definitely.
And it took years of healing, but that's cool that you're now excited to get back into teaching.
Yes.
And you're not, like, I'm sure you still have some nerves, but
but I think I'm going into a good environment, and like littler kids, pre-K.
Yeah, you're like, okay, getting past that, now let's get back into it.
Yes, I think it'll be really good. I'm like, I think this is going to be a big adjustment, but I'm also like super excited to see like what God has in store.
I forget it's pre-K. That's so cute.
I have a lot of energy.
Yes.
They never are tired. I'm like, I used to be at that age, and I remember just running around everywhere.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wait, so you went to nursing school?
Well, it was like through high school. It's like called, I don't know if
it was a Running Start.
Wanick. It was like another. It was like Running Start, but like a different option, like where you can get more hands-on training. So like if you, like there was like mechanic school, and then there was like a teaching academy, and then I did the more of the nursing program. So I just became like a certified nursing assistant. So I wouldn't say it was like a whole like nursing school, but it was like the like part where you become an assistant. But then I worked at a retirement home for about a year, and I loved it. So I worked with like I worked with a 100-year-old before to all the way to like a 6-month-old.
Wow.
So, and they both were like, you know, like they needed somewhat of like the same-ish care, but obviously like the 100-year-old has just so much more wisdom, and like he would always tell me like all these stories, and he was a sweet man, and I'm like, but all that to say is, yes, I did. Like I still have like my certificate now. I don't know if I would ever go back into doing it, but I could work.
At least you have it.
It's always a nice backup.
Sounds like teaching is your thing.
Yes, I learned, and I'm like, I love teaching the kids. So love the nursing, like loved helping. That I think I'm like good with like any age really, but I love like this.
Like the younger kids.
Yeah. So cool that you like are doing a podcast, by the way. Like, this is so amazing. I love listening to podcasts. So when I heard that you were making a podcast, I'm like, and knowing that I might be on it, I was like, this is so amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how it started too, because I was like, I love listening to podcasts. I'm like, it'd be so fun. I've always had it in the back of my head. I'm like, it'd be so fun to like do a podcast.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you did.
I'll just do it.
This is amazing impact, and like it's so cool. Like you can either like share your testimony or like impact questions, because like there's a lot of things I think everybody walks through. Like we all have our own testimony of like what God has done in our lives, or are also walking through maybe currently. So I think
it's important to share.
I think it can be really cool for like other people to listen.
Yes.
and here, because I actually listened to podcasts when I got my head injury, and it really helped me with like hope after head injuries, and like it really helped me in like even my walk with like knowing that I'm not alone in this. So like also if you're like walking through anything, there's probably podcasts about it.
Say, do you have any advice for people who are walking through like something that or like the same thing you walked through with your injury or anger or anything like that?
That's a good question. Like if you're like walking through, let me think. Like if you're walking, through like anger, or if you've like maybe experienced the, like, I don't know, it could be anywhere from like an injury or like maybe a diagnosis that like, you can't really do what you maybe used to do. I would say that I don't know, like probably what I said before, like knowing that like your identity is not in that. And knowing that, like, there's still so much that you can do, you know, and knowing that, like, you know, God can still use you. And like, I think I had a lot of processing of like, what's like now like my purpose in life. Like, what is my purpose? I would always say that to my husband Blake, and I'd be like, well, now teaching's done, like, what's my purpose here on earth? And like, what am I gonna do now? And like, and Blake would always be like, you still have purpose, you know, like, you might not be a teacher, like, God's still calling you to so much. So I think just like praying about it and like seeing like what God wants, you know, you to still do and know that your identity is in Him and not in a career. And like, we are to like, you know, to like, I don't know if that's good advice.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I think it's helpful, like, to know that, like, 'cause I think there's doubts. I think the enemy too really wants to attack you in those moments, because he knows that you're weak in those moments, like when you start letting these thoughts come into your mind. And that would always be the case. Like, if I like started kind of doubting, that's exactly when Satan would come and attack my mind and like start putting in all these like false things, and I would start to believe them. And then realizing like God would never say these things about us. Like, God would never say that we don't have purpose. God would never say that we're like now like, you know, God would only say like, keep going, and like, you know, like, you still have so much through me. Like, you know, I love you. And like, you know, he's more of an encourager. So I think just knowing like the difference between like, okay, this is like Satan, and when you hear Satan's voice, just like immediately go to like prayer or like, because I think that helped me a lot. Because there was times where I was like really was like believing in this like lies and stuff, and I was realizing like, oh, like, why am I believing these? Like, this isn't God, you know? Like, the minute I open up the Bible, there's like all this stuff that's like truth. And I'm like, oh, all I had to do is just open up the Bible and be like, okay, you know? God doesn't give us, you know, like my verse, like, God doesn't want us to fear. God doesn't want us to like, so I think that's something that's helped me a lot.
That's so good too, because I watched this video on TikTok, and it was actually a girl with like her Bible, and the caption was like, people talk about how they wish there was a rule book for life, and then she like opened up the Bible and she's like, we literally have one. Like, we have all we need right here in this book.
It's so true. And like, He's given us to us, and like, we are also able to openly, freely open it here where we live. I mean, of course, there's like some people that probably, you know, don't like Bibles in this world, but like, you know, there are other areas in this world where, you can like die for like having a Bible. And so like knowing that like, you know, we'd have the freedom to just like open it and to read it and have that time with Him. I think that's really cool. And to know that like we are, I'm like, I don't know what I would do without God. I think sometimes I think about like, what would my life be like? Like, if I didn't know Him, like, oh gosh. But I'm kind of terrified to
go through their whole life just not like choosing. I mean, it's one thing when you like grow up literally not knowing Jesus, like you were never taught about Him, you don't even know Him, like you don't know anybody who also knows Him, you know, like you don't know Him at all. But I don't know how people completely resist Him, like knowing that.
I don't know either. It is sad though, but
I get people go through things in their life that make them feel some type of way, but I still don't know how they do it.
There are a lot of people where they're like, I went to this horrible situation, like why would there be a God, you know, or something. Like, there was moments in my life where I had to like kind of work through that too, and like repent of like even my sin that I let into my life, because I was like, why would this happen? But like, I realized like like God still loves us even through our suffering, and like even though sometimes life can and will always be hard, but like we also, this isn't like our forever home. Like, our eternity is in heaven with Him. So we are, unfortunately, due to sin, like we are going to live in suffering here on earth. We are going to have sadness here, but knowing that this is only like such like a little bit of our lives versus so like temporary. Eternity and like heaven with Him, and with like there's going to be like no sadness. It's like, I think that gives me hope, and knowing that like, okay,
that's so nice to think about. Just like,
I'm like, okay, this life is short, but like, that's
something that helped me like grieve through my grandpa too, because like him dying was obviously really hard for the whole family, and it still is hard to think about that he's not here anymore. But I also think it's something that helps me with death. I'm like, this life's so temporary. Like, I'm gonna see him again in like no time. Like,
and then you'll get to like have eternity with him. Like, all of our loved ones.
So I'm like, this isn't goodbye. Like, it's just a see you later. Like,
it's and of course, you know, we still, I think it's still okay to like have sadness, of course, when something like that happens. But like, I think it is
not a fun thing to walk through.
It helps me. Yeah, it does help us though to know that like, okay, they're no longer suffering. They're in heaven, rejoicing with God.
Yeah,
I think that like makes me feel better too. And when I've lost like loved ones in my past too, like, okay, like they are now set free, and like they are, you know, like they're with Jesus. I just like picture them like dancing.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but
or picturing them doing things that they love to do here on earth.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I always love asking random questions with Blake. Like, do you think we'll know each other?
Yes.
And Blake's like, yeah.
The Bible says that we'll know each other better and more deeply than we do here on earth.
That's what he said. I'm like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that crazy?
I'm like, oh yes, bring it on.
I'm like, I was just so excited. Like, it's eternity. Like, it's our rest of our life, like forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
And like, so like really, when you think about it, like we have maybe an average of like what? Maybe 80 years. I don't know. Like I mean, our, you know, maybe let's just say that like 80 years versus eternity, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, that gives us a lot, like, even though we still have to like walk through like our lives, and like, I think it's awesome to know that like, okay, like we are, and even God knows that we're going to suffer here because we're obviously Christians, and here, especially where we live, we are going to have a lot more suffering because people are going to be opposed of Christians or not like our values or anything. So I think there's going to be a lot more people coming after our values, but knowing that like, okay, we're doing this for a purpose and for a reason, because God loves us. Yeah. And like he died on the cross for us. And like we have such a cool testimony to share. Actually, super random, but yesterday we were in a coffee shop, like me and my friend, and like my friend went over to this person who obviously was probably like homeless, you know, and like just asked if they were okay, because they looked kind of like dazed and confused, and like looked young. So my friend was like, went up and was like, "Are you okay? We're about to read the Bible if you want to join us." And then this person that was like shocked, and then like ended up coming over, and like we got to like share the gospel with them, and
that's so cool.
They are homeless and they're young, and you know, there's only so much. It is a girl. I would say it's born a girl.
Oh, okay.
But
so cool.
Yes, it's probably, you would say he's a man. But yeah. And so
was he or she interested in that? Like,
and that's so interesting, because like we read through Passage of Mark, and so it was about identity in God.
Whoa.
And like that's the one thing that stood out to them. And I'm like, well, I'm not here to like, you know, everybody has their own views, obviously, but like, you know, as I think God created us, man and woman, and like how we are born to be. We're obviously not, we don't know much about this person, obviously, you know, but so we didn't want to like be like, well, you know, but I think I just kept on like reiterating, like God made us all unique and like perfect, and like God's identity is like, you know, I forget exactly what I said, but I was also like really nervous because I don't know what it is, but like, you know, you just don't know like, the person.
Say something.
But I'm also like, I don't want to like make a mistake, but it was just a special time. Of course, like there's only so much that like we can do. We gave them some resources of like, you know, like some homeless shelters. We gave them like the number of like Mount Lake or like another church that my friend goes to, and then we ended up. We had like this Mark study book, and I gave them that Mark study book, and then they loved like my friend's Bible, so we ended up giving them a Bible. And
that's
like,
really cool.
Stuff like that, which is really cool. We're like, we hope that, you know, they're using it. But all I have to say is like, I think God always places opportunities, and that was kind of like my first opportunity.
That's such a God thing.
I'm like, with my friend, like when we like left, like, wow, what just happened? Like, we don't know what just happened there, but God was using us, and like, you know, we can only like plant seeds, but you know, we prayed for them, and like we prayed that their situation would change. We obviously don't want them to be homeless, but also like we there's only so much in our control that we can do. We also don't know this person exactly, so it's not like I'm going to let somebody into my home, but that I don't know. It's like, we had to have some discretion in the situation. Because I was like texting Blake subtly. He's like, Carrie, I know your heart, like, just don't mention like them coming and living with us, because like we don't know them, like in a nice way, So we're like, instead of like us being like opening up our homes, we're like, hey, you should like reach out to Union Gospel Mission, or like there's like a lot of homeless places. But all that to say is that's kind of random.
No, that's
but
a great
God is
story.
always using us, and like that was kind of my first opportunity, being like, oh wow, like stepping out in faith, and like I guess like there's been opportunities like where I've shared the gospel, but I think that was like one of the moments where I'm like, wow, like there was so much I'm like learning still from like what happened yesterday, and like processing it all. I'm like, oh, like, okay, I don't know what just happened, but like God, they were obviously just like wanting someone to talk with them, and they were just. So I'm glad we could like be God's vessels. And
I know, it's crazy how God uses us.
We're at Hebrews Coffee, and
nice.
We're like, we sat down.
Oh, and it was at Hebrews?
It was at Hebrews, and like it was, I don't know like their whole story, but I think from what they did tell us, so we were praying for them. So
wow, that's so cool that you guys got to do that.
I know, it
would be really cool if you like walked in there and they were like reading the Bible that you gave them or something.
I know,
that'd be so awesome.
I know, we're hoping that they will read the Bible that we gave them, because like it was like, not that it matters, but now we know like maybe to go and like get like a little bit of like because like we gave them like this really nice Bible, like the study Bible. Because that's like all we had. But next time we're like, when this happens in the future, maybe we should have like a little like goodie bag of like a toothbrush, toothpaste, like maybe more of like a different Bible. It's maybe not like the super expensive Bible, but like obviously I'm really glad that they took it, like that. Like I'd rather give them an expensive Bible than no Bible at the end of the day. Like I'm like, I can always go buy another Bible, or not, like I have a lot of Bibles, so my friend and I are more like, it's not about the money, it's just about them having the Bible, and
the opportunity presents itself.
So we're like, well, at the moment we, it's also like it was my friend's Bible that she had like marked up, and like I'm like, oh, felt back, like to line like,
well, that might be helpful for them too.
That's what I was thinking. Like her was thinking notes. She's like, like obviously that's like a Bible I've had for like a long time, but at the same time I'd rather have somebody have it than like not have them know about God. Like if that's like the reason why someone's saved is like through them having my Bible, then she's like, I don't care that's like my like favorite Bible or whatever, So I think we just were like trying to be what we could do, was to give them something about hope, So it's like,
that's a cool opportunity. Awesome. So do you have anything else you'd like to share?
I don't think so. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and share.
I know. It's
and like
fun. I love hearing
talk
more,
with you.
And I didn't hear that story yet about yesterday, so that's really cool.
It's something so new. I'm like still processing, and I'm like, I don't know. I went for like a walk yesterday. Like, oh wow, like still praying for them, and like still kind of like looking and seeing if they would like come into the church today, because like we gave them like the number, amount of like church. But we also it's obviously in God's hands. But no, I just thank you so much for everything. And this has been such a special time,
and it's cool to watch you like walk through like just this past year, and like obviously not all of your story, but some of it, and just you talking about it. It's just like so cool to see, and then it's like you're going back to like teaching.
You see it all.
Not at all.
But you've at least been with me for the past year.
And it's just cool to see you like go back to school, and you're just
a lot of
dipping your toes back in the water, and
a lot of answered prayers. So, and just knowing that like God is so good, and whenever we start to doubt, just getting back into the Word again. So, and it's never like too late to like go back.
Great.
Like I think that's my thing, where I'm like, oh, like yes, I was raised a Christian, but like even though I was raised Christian, that doesn't mean that like I knew of God and loved God, of course, but I think it's never too late to be like, you're never too far lost.
That's
that God isn't, like, I was just like, God leaves the 99 to find that one.
Yes.
Like, God is always chasing after us, and
that's so good.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on the
You're
podcast.
welcome. Thank you,
so
Sarah.
fun. Thanks for
so fun.
using your humble abode here.
This is so much fun. Thanks everyone for listening.